How's it going, everyone? Larry at the Farmstead Way, and this used to be me. And this is me now.
One egg, are you kidding me?
Yeah, big difference. So, at one point in time, I was a small R rock star. So a lot of people don't know, at least on here, that I play guitar. I've been playing electric guitar since I was in 7th grade. No, before that, 4th grade. Played all through high school. Played in pep band. I played in jazz band. I played in show choir band. I played in rock bands. And then right before I got married, I joined a band, which became relatively big. It wasn't like, when I say rock star, I mean, I'm not saying that like we were like Motley Crue and we were getting millions of dollars, but it wasn't just a local band. We were on a bunch of East Coast tours, and we toured with a band called Puddle of Mud. You know, everything's so blurry. That group, yeah. And we played to big sold out shows. We played in New York. We played in Florida. We played all up the East Coast. And it was fun. We were playing to sold out shows all the time. As you can tell from that one video, that was a sold out Puddle of Mud show. And I could have been, if I would have stuck with it, possibly someone in the music industry and a successful rock guitarist. Some of the other guys in the band that I was in have gone on and they've toured with big name acts all over the world. The drummer, he's toured all over Europe and Asia. The bass player we had, he's living in Nashville and he's in a bunch of groups down there. The lead vocalist and leader of the band, it was actually his band. He's just got off tour with a couple with Theory of a Dead Man. And I'm here on the homestead. Sitting in the once cow barn, and on the other side of the window is my garden. So what changed? Why would I give up a possibility of fame, of endorsements, of all the glamorous stuff of traveling to live in the middle of nowhere and to start a homestead? I have a very interesting predicament with this situation. Ever since I was a little kid starting to play guitar, my dream was to be a rock star. I wanted that so bad. It stopped me when I was a teenager. I wanted to do it so bad that when I was a teenager, I really didn't even want to work. I had some piddly jobs. I worked at little restaurants, and I worked in a morning stock job at a hardware store, and you only had to work 4 hours a day. And I thought that was great because I can have all the free time to practice and to put energy into possibly being a musician. And I would constantly tell my parents when they would see me play, this is what I want to do for a living. And for a while, it didn't go anywhere until we got into this group and things started happening. And during all this, I met my first girlfriend, whom I married, and she went with me through this whole journey. And we toured, and we played shows, we played bars, and it was wild. And it was very unpredictable and very unstable. Because when we were touring, I was just started doing HVAC stuff. And I would, play on the weekends and during the week, and I'd run home and do the HVAC stuff and go back and forth and back and forth. And then there was, we had to do music videos, and then we had to go get passports because we were going to go on tour in Europe and stuff. So we went out and all got passports and stuff and did all that song and dance. And it started to take a toll on me and my wife. The interesting predicament is I got to taste my dream. I got my dream. There's so many people out there that are like, man, if I only could have done this, if I only could have done that. I did get to do it. I got to experience it. The little girls and that want to be princesses, and the little boys that want to be astronauts, and the little kids that want to be rock stars. Well, I got to be a rock star. And it turned out not to be the life I wanted. It turns out that I wanted to be a husband, a family man, just simple country folk more than I ever wanted to be a rock star. And like I said, it was crazy. We'd play sold out shows, and I was signing autographs, taking pictures with people. We were doing radio interviews. I mean, it was wild. And the more I got, the more I realized this is not what I want out of life. This is not what I want out of life. It was really hard on my wife. It was terribly hard on my wife because, like I said, there just was no stability. My wife wanted to establish a home. She wanted to have children. And the possibility of me being gone for months and months, because, like I said, at the beginning part, it was just weekend shows. But there was a good possibility that if we'd picked up a big tour, I could be gone for 6-7 months out of the year. And there would have been no way for my wife to really come along. I mean, we probably could have made something happen, but she wouldn't have liked that. My wife's a homebody. She loves home, and I do too. And living on a tour bus with a bunch of dudes was not her idea of life. And it turned out to be that's not the life that I wanted to live either. And this caused a lot of grief with family and with friends because, people have known me to be the guitar player for years and years and years. And they saw me progress and progress and progress. And finally, we caught lightning in a bottle. The whole, Larry's just a guitar player kid to, wow, Larry might actually get to do this for a living and be a rock star. And everyone was so excited for me. And people would come to me and tell me how proud they are of me. And sometimes it was disheartening because no one ever came up and told me they were proud of me for getting married so young. Proud of me for taking responsibility for someone else other than myself. Proud of me for attempting to be a good man. They saw the glamour and the fame and they clung to that. And this is not trying to throw shade at anybody. This is all water under the bridge. This all happened coming up on like 7-8 years ago. But it sucked because everyone just saw me as Larry the guitar player. It's like, oh, I'm more than just a guitar player. I love being outdoors. I love living in the country. I love there's so many other things I was. And I decided to walk away. And I'm so glad that I did. I sat down with the lead vocalist and said, I don't want to do this anymore. And here's how I came to this conclusion. There's this Studio Ghibli movie called The Secret World of Arrietty. Arrietty is a small, tiny little person. She lives with her father and her mother under the floors of a house. And Arrietty and her father go out and borrow things from the big people to survive. Now, this was right during the peak of the music stuff, and we had just watched this movie, and I'd never seen it before. And Arrietty's 13 years old, I think, in the movie, and her dad, Pod, is a strong, capable, stoic man. And he's very capable. He's very able to handle and take care of his family. And Arrietty was going out on her first time borrowing, and she went with Pod, and her mom's freaking out, but she knows that Pod is going to take care of Arrietty. And they go through all the walls and all the stuff that Pod's made, and they go up these homemade escalators and elevators, and they eventually get to do all this stuff. And the way that Ariadne looks at her dad for just being an awesome, capable dad is, it really had a huge impact on me, the way that their relationship was. And I knew that I was never going to have that if I was constantly on the road, living for me and not for my family. Because that's what this dream was turning into. It was turning into my dream and not my family's dream. I would have been the rock star. And I would have been possibly admired by thousands of people. Because that's what happens when you're on stage. People admire you. They want to be where you're at. They want to be up there, especially other guitar players. They see a guitar player on stage and they're like, man, if I could just trade places with him, I would love to be up there and be admired by all the people in the crowd, except the few that matter at home, because I'm not there. I was not going to let my guitar come between my wife and I. So I walked away and I poured my heart and ambition into this out here, homesteading. I traded in my black Vans for some cowboy boots. Those goggles you see me wearing, that was my way of getting out of wearing eyeliner. Yeah, we are real rock stars. And they made me look cool, I think. I traded my goggles for this cowboy hat so I can be a cowboy poser on the internet. I wear this because it keeps me cool in the summer, and I just think they're cool looking. And I decided that I would rather be behind the scenes with my family than on stage for everyone else's family. And it was the greatest decision that I ever made. Well, one of the greatest decisions I ever made. Greatest decision I ever made was giving my heart over to Jesus and becoming a Christian and trying not to walk in the ways of the world. Oh boy, every time I light a pipe up, I'm just thinking of all the people that are going to complain about it, but whatever. They complain about anything. They'll complain that my jacket's brown and my hat's white and that the window behind me is dirty, but I don't care. So here's a tip to everyone out there. A really big tip. Don't become slaves to your dreams. Don't become a slave to your dream. You never know what you have until you have it, because it might look pretty on the outside. It might look glamorous until you actually have it. And then you realize that this is not what I thought it was going to be. And being a rock star is not what I thought it was going to be. It is very isolatory. It is very prone for temptation. And I can see why people get into drugs and alcohol and women, because there's literally nothing else to do except party. You're on the road all the time. You do not have a lot of time before sets. And I can see why people get into it. There's literally nothing to do except sit around and wait for your turn to go on. So people get bored. They start doing drugs. They start inviting the front row girls to come back and do all kinds of obnoxious, sinful things. They start objectifying people around them. And that's not true for all bands, but it's just, that's the stigma. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I'd rather have faith, family, and community and a simple life. Don't become a slave to your dream. You have no idea what you're asking for when you're shooting for the stars sometimes. That's why it's important to keep your dreams close to your chest and not way up in the stars. Because in here is what matters. I mean, don't be a slave to your ambitions, and don't let your dreams be your end goal. It's kind of a botched Rudyard Kipling quote, but just don't become a slave to it. Don't. Now, I still do play guitar. I'm actually playing a couple of gigs this year. I will never, ever be in a touring band ever again. Someday when the kids are older, I would like to maybe get back into the music scene. Um, Nothing major. I just don't have the energy for that anymore. And I still play guitar all the time. I still have the same level of skill that you saw in that video. I know there's a lot of people that at first thought that I was like not gonna play guitar ever again. It's like, no, I love guitar. And I can still do all that crazy shred stuff that you saw. It's just I don't want to do it for a career. I don't want to make that guitar my idol above my wife and kids. So it's fun to have your passions, to have your hobbies, but don't let your passions get in the way of what's most important. So I'm gonna get off here. I'm gonna finish this pipe, get some stuff done around the homestead. I'm actually probably gonna work out. My home gym is actually straight in front of me. I'm gonna try to bust out a workout. I'm gonna film or try to get some ideas for other videos. I got a couple of things in the pipeline that I'd like to do. My wife and I, as soon as we can get some money together, will be starting the Farmstead Way podcast. We were brainstorming some ideas for some topics, and we want to go over all things that are my wife and I, from homesteading to fitness to food to home birth to the crunchy lifestyle that we try to live. Just all things that is us. We don't want it to be super specific to one topic. We just want to be unique to us. There's 1,000 homestead podcasts out there, but there's not one that's done by us, and we have our own unique spin and experiences and how we want to do it. So if you like this content, if you like this video, like, share, and subscribe. Hopefully this message helps somebody. It's kind of a weird niche thing, but like I said, at one point in time, this caused me, my family, and my close friends a lot of grief when this all went down. And I thought I would just give you an interesting perspective on letting a dream and a passion be your master. So this is Larry with the Farmstead Way, and you all take it easy and have a good evening.